title of this particular panel is Accelerating Development of Talent. Issa, I'm going to start with you and say, if you are accelerating, you're accelerating from something very close to standstill. It must be frustrating for you.
I think if we take a minute or less than a minute and think about what's going on in the country, it's a lot of things going on in the country. And finding a talent is a very tough. Without the talent especially for the engineering areas, that we cannot just bring an engineer overnight and give him an important design to do it or to develop it. You need an experience, you need to work in advance, not month or 2 months or 6 months, you need years for that. If I take a snapshot of what's happened for the engineers in Saudi Arabia, a lot of engineers move out from the engineering to more project management or administration jobs. The engineering sector in Saudi Arabia lost a lot of talent to administration jobs, leadership jobs, and we left the core engineering, the technology and engineering, which is the start of everything, okay, behind. To rebuild it, that will be a very tough situation. Will be not easy.
That's interesting, because that's not just about a dearth of talent in the first place. You have some talent,
yes,
but they're drawn into the wrong directions within the industry and become perhaps great managers, but the skills base has gone, in a sense.
The basic skill, if I just compare them with the doctor keep practicing. But the engineer, when he moved to project management or management, he lost his skill of developing design engineering to his customer or to where the country is going. I think if I go back, I will not share when I finished my school because they will figure my age.
We haven't got that much time.
I believe when I go back, I think it's more than 30 years, okay? We were talking in Saudi Arabia about a special program for engineers. We need to award them. We give them the right compensation to stay and the right development to develop the subject matter of expert.
Okay.
Today, in mining or all other sectors, because as a Worley, we work across all the sectors, subject matter of expert is the key one. If I take the business...
Point made. I'm going to stop you on that. subject matter cannot be lost to the sector throughout a career, ideally. Sheikh Khalid, let me come to you, Mr. Red Bricks, as I called you, if you don't mind me putting it like that.
I'm happy with that.
To me, Red Bricks is a manufacturer of something that's dusty and dirty and very challenging, and I'll be honest about it, not that sexy. However, so I can see where the problems might be. However, I think you do have a story here about technology and automation, which is one that perhaps needs to be magnified, not just within your business, but across the sector.
Absolutely true. I've realized this situation, plus what you have indicated, it is a heavy labor intensive. Our production is heavy labor intensive because handling manually and so on. So I've looked in 1998, I've said I have to change this attitude, I have to change this production style to more of a technology style. And I wanted to add robots. So I had to carry a fight like a salmon fish going up the river. And finally I succeeded, and I was the first one that have introduced the robots in the market and in the industry of the brick makers. Now everybody makes it, even the Chinese do, although they have a lot of people. But therefore, then after that, our population, Saudi Arabia, we have 68% or more than that are young kids from the age of 14 to 28. So these young kids, they cannot be all doctors and engineers and architects and what have you. They have to go in the field. And if we are talking about industry, that we're going to grow our industry, we have to depend on our people. And our people, okay, I don't want them to work as laborers. We want to work as qualified, skilled, and higher than skilled labor. So I've introduced them in the managing the robots itself and managing the production lines And we've gone further than that in managing the mining fields by introducing the professional in the geology, professional geology engineers from the school, from the college, from the university. We are in semi-partnership with 3 universities, from University of King Abdulaziz and King Fahd and the school here in Riyadh. So further than that, I've built a building specially designed to train the Saudi young cadets to be able to handle these jobs. So we have to depend on our people. We want to be able to take from the resources that we have.
And sorry to interrupt, but you're training them in an environment which is different, perhaps, to the one that the reputation might suggest, which I think is also really important.
We have a clean...
I'm going to pick that notion up because, look, with the best will in the world, we have 3 leaders of industry here sitting on the panel. I think it's safe to say you are all over 28. So there is a gap in terms of leadership. And Nikki, I want to bring that over to you because that is part of the problem, isn't it? It's not just about finding general talent. Who's going to lead? Who's going to take the fore? That must be one of the challenges.
Absolutely, David, and thank you. It's an absolute honor to be here on such an esteemed panel at such an exciting event. It's not news to say it's incredibly challenging to be a leader in any industry right now, and it's particularly challenging to be a leader in the mining sector. We need to manage complexity. We've never had to manage before. If we just think about the previous panel, as I came on stage, they were saying we never thought about rare earths, but now we're looking for rare earths. If we think about EV batteries from a technical perspective, you've got to take a bet on what you think the assets of the future are going to be to make that long-term investment. So managing the complexity is incredibly difficult. We've got competing stakeholder demands, often for environmental, social, and financial returns. We've got to re-engineer our organizations. We've got to bring people together, often from outside the sector, to bring them in with new skills, bring new types of people who look and speak and think differently, because that's where the value addition is going to be. And we have to do all of that against a backdrop in which mining is seen at best as a necessary evil in many jurisdictions. So how do you lead in that complex environment? And so if I was to think, how do we accelerate this question of accelerating the development of talent, I think we really need to focus on the leadership capabilities we need now and into the future. And if I had top five, it would really be managing complexity. It would be developing a social and political muscle, a geopolitical muscle, to really understand where the world's going. It's incredibly open communication and a willingness to engage across boundaries with challengers and detractors. It's human-centered leadership, and finally, I think it's courage and really innovative thinking, and we've certainly heard some of that from the panel already.
Nikki, thank you very much for that. Let me turn to Ali Said Al-Khattani. So you're dealing with the necessary evil, as
yes.
Nikki's reputational reference put it. How much of a struggle is it at the moment for you in terms of talent development, and what are you looking for? And is it about leadership, or is it perhaps slightly closer to the red brick?
I think we have a similar experience. However, we are in a different dilemma. We are in the middle of the desert. We are moving around 2.5 million cubic meter per month around the clock. And we have around 400 people, and we are working for ma'aden phosphate. And this is a big challenge, especially in the beginning. I have been with the company for the last 10 years, and when we started, it was really a dilemma. Things are improving a lot. Now, we have Saudi Minerals Polytechnique in Arar, which is close to our mine, and we found it a savior, really, to screen talent and really prepare them for the kind of work we are doing. Mainly 2 things. Prepare them with English communication, basic English communication, and safety, because they will be dealing with very heavy equipment.
But is it easy enough to
yes.
to attract this?
Well, it is not easy. And in the beginning, we had an attrition rate of 75% among Saudis. But as things get more mature and the education is available on the institute, and really they found out that we are a good employer because of the consistency and the availability of the job on the area. Because in RR, it's very small town, and we are the main employer of the area. And they found out that, okay, mining is good, mining is paying well, mining is safe, and we are very proud of our safety record. Among the 15 years we are working on the site, we had very low record of accidents and no fatality at all,
Right.
which is rare on the industry.
But that's a good message also about locality, which I think we'll come to as well,
Yes.
local sourcing of,
Yes.
of employment.
Yes.
Tamra, if I could come to you, we're hearing some of the problems and some of the innovative solutions. You run a number of programs aimed at accelerating talent. Just give us an insight into
That's correct.
the key.
The relation between the university and the private sector or the government sector really need to be strong, because in the university we didn't open or establish any program until we study the labor market needs, and we structure the program on what the labor market needs, what is the missing, and we could put it in this program. And sometimes we have a partnership with the international university to support us in advancement knowledge in this program. I think, yes, it's true to have a connection with the private sector and the government sector, and to establish this program on the need of the labor market. And I give you an example. For example, in the energy, we established a program last year in energy innovation in partnership with the Swansea University. And before we opened this program, we did study the labor market. We know the need of this program for women or for men as a postgraduate study.
I thought I could hear a little Welsh twang in your voice there. But that international element is obviously important. We're getting some very strong messages that there is a local answer and availability. But I guess when we're looking at the big picture of the scaling up in terms of talent, international collaboration would be one of the buzzwords.
Yeah, and it will be the good point to attract the talent to come and to study the most advancement technology or sciences in this field. And
Steve?
we are now, I don't want to announce about a program in material science and mining, also with the partnership with the top 20 university ranked. Soon, it's coming soon, September.
Right, so the programs are coming. Nonetheless, Steve, let me turn to you. All of these very good examples are relatively well hidden, I would say, in the sort of mainstream appreciation of what mining still is. We've heard the word reputation 1,000 times in the last 3 days, and it's almost always in a negative context. Almost always. What do you do about that?
Well, I think it's really up to us as an industry to tell our story more effectively. I guess the point that is really being made very effectively here is that it's easy to forget that we're in the people business. Any great mining jurisdiction anywhere around the world has the right geological conditions. You've got the right trade and policy and investment environment supporting that. But most of all, you've got, in order to realise the opportunity, you've got the people that are making it happen. And there's certainly a gross shortage in all mining jurisdictions around the world of those mining professionals. So geologists, metallurgists, mining engineers, the people that will work to actually realise this opportunity. There's a massive gap and a massive shortage in terms of those people coming through. So I think in answer to your question, it's going to be really important for us as an industry to think outside the square, to be able to attract different types of people into our industry. Thought leaders, people who are, yes, have those technical skills and that experience that's been described earlier, but also people that can help us really grow, reshape the industry and tell our story very differently and more effectively about the value that we add.
When you say that, do you mean sort of you need a spectrum from astrophysicists through to artists? I mean, it's a complete mindset change.
That's my view, yeah. And there's certainly lots of examples of other industries that have really embraced people with those different skills that can shape a better future for that industry.
And then how do you lure them in when there is still a reality, which is, as we've heard here, you may be operating in a very remote part of the world. It's not what a young generation is perhaps looking for. They have certain creature comforts. They love their technology. They love their gaming. They love their social life.
So there's plenty of other industries that have done this extremely effectively. Take a simple example of the Defence Forces in many parts of the world that really highlight the technology that's being deployed, the idea and concept that you're working in a team, that you're developing leadership skills that Nikki talked about. Many of those, that sector in many parts of the world have made it very attractive for people to come and work in those areas. Myself, I'm an engineer. I worked in financial services for 17 years. No one, to the best of my knowledge, taps their 15-year-old children on the shoulder and says, I want you to go and work in a bank. Yet banks are very, very effective at identifying and bringing talent into that industry and nurturing that talent and helping that talent be effective and successful in those environments. And I think that's something we can and need to do better as an industry.
I just wondered, gentlemen, from the industrial side of this, what do you make of that, of drawing in talent from very diverse routes? I mean, would that be much use to you?
Yes, I believe that engineer is an engineer. And if you see the mining sector today is attractive, artificial intelligence, data analytics, all other kind engineering process. But the problem, I think, the image about the mining is still, we need to work in that. I agree with you that we have more workshop. We can have a showcase to our young generation that there is no big difference between the mining and the other sectors, and we can take it to the next level. As a Worley here in Saudi Arabia, now we already established the digital delivery, which will be a full of digital people managing that. It's already established. We just hired one of the PhD coming from Microsoft as a Saudi lady, will be leading that industry, and she will hire a lot of local talent in the digital domain, which is we never did it before. We are moving to that. It's mean the business and mining will be in a different way, and people will see digital twin, they will see augmented reality solution, and we are building also a showcase. People can go through the plans and how we are doing this stuff. I agree with you that really we need to show a strong image about mining is not an ugly as the movie presented.
Right.
We are much better than that.
Yeah, reputations are very hard to build up when they're positive, and they're very difficult to destroy when they're negative, aren't
Yes.
they? So there's a big challenge there. Perhaps, Sheikh Khalid, you've given us an indication as to, you moved on automation very early. We're talking now not just automation and robotics, it's AI is the way ahead. Does that reduce the need for accelerating talent? Does AI actually save you on some of that need for...
Yes, you're right. But as I said, you said before that our manufacturing is dirty business, you indicated, but we made it into a clean business. We have a very clean environment for our workers and a very healthy environment, and we are inviting the Saudis to work with us, and we're working. We have 30% of our staff is all Saudis, and a good percentage of them is qualified. And the qualification that they have is working accordingly to what our manufacturing work. That means our kilns, for instance, are run on computerized system, are connected with the manufacturer themselves. Their spare parts is ordered through automation, and our spare parts warehouses are all connected with that. So our staff is all qualified, and a good percentage of them is all Saudis, but we require more. I'm eager to have more and more Saudis that are qualified. We have them in the management, we have them in the manufacturing, we have them in the computer facilities, which is what is counted for. So really, a brick-making business is an industry that is diversified.
Right.
Both in the mining and in the technology. I've taken all the latest technology that I can get throughout the world, from the United States, from Europe, especially from Germany, And we're very proud of our environment and our staff and the Saudi staff.
Understandably, but Ali Said, there will be plenty of people saying, well, look, look at the background of Saudi Arabia. You've got petroleum expertise and depth of background, and to transfer into mining, that's not such a big deal. You can do that. Do you find there's plenty of draw into your sector because of that sort of almost cultural understanding?
Yes.
Or do you need, as we were talking about reputation, do you need to turn to critical minerals and say, these are really exciting, this is the future, these are the ones that give you your EV on the road and are transforming your life, and you've got your phone in your hand?
The problem with mining now is this analogy between rock mining and oil and gas mining. I think they are not related at all. Maybe they are related to the ministry. But if you see the exploration the oil and gas are doing, they are already know where are the good locations, and they are exploring for the betterment of extracting the oil and gas.
And a lot of it because of AI, actually, for geological survey help.
They have
Yeah.
already a data, they can manipulate, they can give AI. Mining industry, which we are dealing with, is a rock, I call it rock mining industry, is much, much tougher. You are moving millions of tons for grams or kilograms of ore. And this is where the case is really, and it cannot be compared at all. The price of a barrel of oil cannot be compared with the ton of phosphate, for example. It's totally different, and the agony is different. The type of liquid versus dry is different. The main problem we are suffering now is the people are, after we train them, they go to oil and gas industry.
Hey,
And
it's a reverse. It's still a reverse effect.
Exactly. And they are going to big projects because anybody who's operating a shovel, he can operate it here in our mine or in Neom.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
And no way the mining industry can compete in terms of monetary competition if it comes to cost of labor.
Money talks, salaries talk. Nikki,
Yes.
I know you want to come in here, but and then perhaps also a little bit about that, as we've heard here, the power of the local community hire, if you like.
Absolutely. And actually, I don't want to touch on two parts. You've all eloquently described the value that we are looking for and finding from new technologies and new ways of working. So the adoption of AI and other technologies in mining and auxiliary industries is already delivering a dividend. But it makes the work that you are leading even more important, because it is often the jobs that are more manual or more administrative which are most exposed to disruption by AI, are ones that are held by women or are held by the local community members. And there's value on the table to be lost. We know that when we have diverse and inclusive teams, there is up to a 30% impact on the bottom line. So the work that you are doing to build in those STEM capabilities in women and the female workforce here is so vital. The other way in which it's really important and is having a widespread impact is that new technologies are making that on-ramp for local community members into the mine both narrower and steeper. There are fewer jobs that they can access. There are automated trucks, not trucks they can learn to drive. And those jobs that are available require greater skills, capability, and training. So it's beholden on us as we think about how to kind of solve this wicked problem of the reputation of mining and needing to secure talent, that we're really thinking about building the skills and the talent in the local community, and where we can't, thinking about how to deliver a dividend for the people who the contract has always been. You are going to have a large disruptive environmental impact from this large industrial complex next to you, but you're first in line for the economic benefit. And when that economic benefit is not so obvious, we as a sector have to be much more creative. We heard earlier about shared equity, that the role of the sector in engaging communities early, and here the role of juniors and exploration teams is really crucial. It becomes even more important.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, I think you wanted to...
Well, I think that's a really good example of that different skill set that I think that as an industry we need to embrace. A point that often fascinates me about our industry is that of our total workforce, 20% of the people, employees that work for mining companies are tertiary qualified professionals. Now, if you compare that to other industries, for instance, manufacturing, the figure is 10%. Construction, the figure is 1%. So it really speaks to the point Nikki made earlier. This is a very complex industry and we need sophisticated thinking. And the point that we've certainly been keen to highlight today is that I think there's a significant gap emerging and a real challenge for our industry when you look at, for instance, university enrolments of mining engineers that in Australia, between 2005 and 2012, dropped by 74%. In the US, the figure was 38%. So it's a real challenge for our industry, bringing in these talented, well-educated professionals that are going to really be able to shape the future of our industry. And really important, we embrace different skills as we respond to that challenge.
Tamara, can I throw one other little pebble into the pond, if it is? And actually, we're not that far off gender parity on a panel up here. But this is a massively male-dominated sector. Is that taken into account in some of the programs you're looking at? You've got half the population that don't look remotely in your direction as an industry, even when the other half is still not that bothered. So
Yes, as the Princess Noura University, the largest women university in the world, the mission of the university to increase the participation of women in the Saudi economy. And we focus on that to see what is the labor market needs. And we build our program to be aligned with this need, and not just to give them the technical skills, also the soft skills which will make them as a good leader in this sector or in this domain.
So let me come back to you then. Give us a sense of, because we had a call a couple of weeks ago. You're a frustrated man, in terms of the skill set. And keeping people in post.
Yeah.
What is the secret to turning around the image of your industry, do you think?
I believe, yes, I agree with you that the business to deliver what our customer is looking for is very tough, especially with the skill available, and most of them is very difficult to find them. And this is why we are committed to the community. We have our academy. We try to raise up the people. Even when you come to how we pay the people or the compensation is increased unbelievable the last 2 years. We try to compete with the other industrial. Still, our big challenge that we see our big clients, they are taking our people. And we go back from scratch to rebuild the talent to support this. And at the same time, we have the pressure from our client to deliver what they are asking.
But that's sort of the point I'm making about critical minerals. Isn't this the moment that you can hope to see that turn around?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think with all what's going on in the country, I think we need to get together, all the manufacturing, the engineering, the education, the clients, we come in together. Okay, we need to work together to succeed. It's not mean just I need to keep the talent in my side. The talent will be available, and we cannot stop anyone to go to any place. But I think we need to work and coordinate and have an open discussion through a workshop, through the strategy, and develop this, because at the end of the day, will be for the country. We will develop a talent from the country for the country. Where they will serve the country. But we need to coordinate. We need to work closely more to each other.
I get a sense that, yes, underneath that layer of frustration, and certainly over the course of 3 days, I've experienced a welter of excitement as well, actually, at what the potential is.
Yeah.
Huge barriers in the way at the moment in terms of perception and reputation, as we've said time and again. But this is possibly a moment. And yet, Steve, last quick word.
Well, I think this is an opportunity of a lifetime for us in our industry, not simply economically, but to change community perceptions and to really reinforce the point that critical minerals are the key to the energy transition and decarbonisation targets, and get a new, young community of people excited about that story and being involved in our industry.
It's a very good message. A lot of it is about talk turning to action, so you better go out and do it, I guess. Panel, thank you very much indeed, all of you, for your contributions. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our panel.